Hi everybody, my name is Sebastian. I'm a collector of old, fine and rare vintage wines and spirits. Today it's the first time I'm doing a video. It's a very special occasion because I will try the oldest cognac I have tried yet. I have a lot of old cognacs and armagnacs in my collection and even older port and Madeira wines, and I also used to try very old Madeira wines already. I tried the 1862 d'Oliveira's, 1850, even 1845 Cossett Gordon and even 1825 Hinkers Madeira. And today it's the first time I will try a very old spirit, a very old cognac, and I want to share this moment with you. It's funny because I have some old cognacs and armagnacs in my collection, even some from the 19th century. I also have some cognacs and armagnacs from the early 20th century. But the oldest I have tried yet is not older than maybe 50 or 60 years. They are from the 60s or 70s. But today I will try a cognac from 1922. So this cognac is older than 100 years, and it will be also very interesting for me, and I want to share this moment with you. So this cognac is Tiffon cognac. Tiffon is a smaller producer from France, from the area of Grand Champagne, and it's a family-owned business. They are operating since 1875. They have around 40 hectares and they are producing fine wine also from their own grapes and also their own cognac. So it's going to be interesting to taste this cognac because I never tried any cognac from this distillery yet. And the further interesting thing is that the cognac I'm trying, there are only 29 bottles existing in the world. So how did I get my hands on this kind of cognac? Well, I have a sample. I made another video where I presented my samples, because how do I decide what I collect? Because I'm a collector for the purpose of passion, of course, for the spirits, but also for the purpose of investing. And it's not easy to decide what to buy, because there are a lot of old vintages. They are very expensive. They can be very expensive. And this decision has to be made carefully. How to spend money, where to spend money. And at some point I came across these tasting trials from different websites who offer this, different wine shops. Usually the tasting trials are not so sophisticated, not so high level. And there are just a few who offer very old spirits in their tasting samples. And this is of course very interesting for me. And I bought it. Of course it was a bit expensive, but it's still much cheaper than to buy the bottle. And I think it's more useful to pay some money for a sample and then try and decide. And then maybe buy the spirit into the collection, and maybe even buy more than one bottle. Of course, a lot of fine spirits from my collection, especially very old ones, there are no samples existing at all, and I will not have the chance to try them. Maybe I will never try them in my whole life, because they are so rare, so worthy, that maybe I will sell them at a later point and never get a chance to try them. So of course I will maybe try to open some bottles, but you always have to think twice if you open a bottle where the prices are very high, like more than 1,000, sometimes even more than a couple thousands. I mean, we even have whiskies now which are not that old, and this cognac who cost more than 100,000 or 150,000 because they're just very rare. I don't know if they taste better. Maybe not, maybe yes, but they are very rare, and collectors are crazy for it, and the world is crazy for it. To name Macallan whiskies who are extremely expensive, and if you compare then cognac and armagnac, for example, who are of course also expensive, but not even close this expensive like very old whiskies, I think then it's really interesting to have a chance to try such old spirits. So this Tiffon cognac, in this sample, I can show you here again, you see Tiffon 1922, probably stayed more than 100 years in a cask. So it was most likely bottled last year in 2022, because it's from the vintage 1922, and it was most likely bottled for the 100 years anniversary. So only 29 bottles exist in the world. So that's really not much, and even if you compare to all the whiskies, you have a lot of more bottles. And I also have to say that the production process of Cognac and Armagnac, as an example, also Calvados, but we will come to this at another in the future with another YouTube video or another video I will do. But these old cognacs, the production process is really sophisticated, because it's not produced from grain or malt, which is available in a high amount, but it's produced from very specific grapes, which are only used for Cognac or Armagnac. And the whole production process is complicated, and the storage process is very long and complicated. So you cannot say that Cognac and Armagnac is lower in quality than whiskey, but the prices are much lower. So for me, it's especially interesting to look into this. I also collect rum, but in the area of rum, you don't have these old vintages, because they started to fill old rum casks only mainly in the second half of the 20th century. So in the times before, rum was rather consumed as a normal spirit, but not as a really high sophisticated vintage. So you don't find so many very old rums, but you find a lot of very old cognacs and Armagnacs, and that makes it so interesting. Because I think these drinks are really complex and really deep and interesting and historic. And it's like with a whiskey, of course, but they are affordable. And this makes it, for me as a collector, and you can also say investor, makes it very interesting. So today I will try this cognac, and I can't wait for it to open this bottle. I mean, it's just a tasting bottle, it's a tasting sample, so it's not like opening a very old bottle, but still interesting. So one can say, yeah, how do you know it's really this cognac? I mean, these tasting samples are offered by known websites, and you can't really fake the taste. You can't really fake it, and they would risk their whole business if they wouldn't fill these small samples with a real bottle. So this you can really taste, and you can even double check. I mean, maybe some crazy people buy a bottle and even drink it, and then they will find it out. So it's I don't have doubts that it's really this cognac inside. And I also bought some other tasting samples, and I tasted them, and some of them I already knew, so I can confirm they really fill them up with this cognac. So let's go with the tasting. I have a normal glass, and I decided not to use a special cognac tasting glass, although I have it, but in these days they are not really used anymore. Usually they were used to warm up the cognac, and it's nice, it's a nice atmosphere stuff, but actually you don't have to warm it up. Actually it's even better to drink it with like either room temperature or even a little bit colder, because the room temperature nowadays is higher than it used to be in the past. So you can still warm it up with this glass though, but I don't know if it's really necessary. And also you can't say that cognac really has to breathe, but it doesn't do harm. So it can still open up after it was poured. So I will decide only to pour the half for now, maybe the rest for later, because if I'm doing tastings, I usually like to do it not one time. Because, for example, you might have a different mood on a day, or for example, it's said that in the morning your tasting ability is better. The palate is more sensible in the mornings, so it's said better in the morning. Now it's evening, so yeah. So I will pour only the half of the sample, and I will keep the rest for another moment with another mood, and like to cross-check, because of course I want to rate my the spirits I'm drinking, and I want to do I'm doing like a sheet where a collection of all the spirits I was drinking, and with a rating I'm using the Parker points for this. So it's usually coming from the wine tastings. It's between 0 and 100 points, but everything below 50 is not really drinkable. and it starts really, like the high quality starts really from 80 above, and anything from 95 to 100 is the top of the pops. So it happens rarely to rate any spirit higher than 95. I didn't do it very often yet, so I'm curious maybe today, but usually anything above 95 is really very rare. It's really the best of the best. And yeah, in this case, these Parker points are very helpful because you have this small scale. Like if you have a rating scale from 1 to 10, it might be not fine enough to differentiate between the nuances, because most of my ratings are between 80 and 95. And there I just have smaller steps, and I can distinguish better the spirits. So let's see what happens. I will start smelling with the aroma, and I will even smell it now without putting it to my nose. Yeah, it's already interesting. I mean, you really have to imagine it spent like 100 years in a cask. I mean, the people who produced this cognac and who put it in the cask and who harvested the grapes, they are not alive anymore, most likely. So it's really like a production process over generations. This is really something very, very special. These tastes, they are very rare, very special, and you can't copy them with anything. It's like just this process of production, and that makes them so interesting and so rare and so historic. And this is why I think it's worth collecting them, especially the old ones, because I'm really focusing on the old ones, because I think at some point in the future they will just not exist anymore, and then I want to have them in my collection, as many as possible. Of course, I can't buy everything, and I mean, each bottle is a decision, even this one, and I have to be fast. I mean, I will probably have to buy it before I publish this video, because 29 bottles in the world, that's not much. Yeah, it can be sold out, but even if, I mean, there are still some I can buy, but still it's interesting. So the aroma, the nose, is already quite interesting. I mean, this cognac has an alcohol level of 45%. Alcohol is carrying very good the taste, and I don't know if it's cask strength, but at least an elevated alcohol level shows higher quality. So everything like below 40%, usually not good quality, even 40%, because this is like a standard number, can be probably mixed with water. You never know that. So the elevated alcohol level is usually a sign of good quality. So here I can smell the alcohol, but if I go a little bit deeper, I smell actually a very fresh fruity note. Although it stayed in the cask for such a long time, I can smell the fruity notes, and it's difficult to say what kind of fruits. I mean, maybe orange. I found some tasting notes claiming it's maybe papaya, but definitely orange, definitely fruity. Very interesting smell. I never smelled a Cognac or Armagnac yet, which is even similar. Yeah, the nose is already very interesting. I could spend a lot of time just smelling, but of course I want to drink it, and I will do it soon. Yeah, it's very promising. It's really delicious. It's has very specific taste, so specific smell. So let's see how it tastes on the palate. It's a very special moment for me, because it's the first time I'm trying such an old cognac, and I can already say it's very good. I didn't decide for rating it, but it's really good. It's really full-bodied. You still taste the fruitiness, but more like dry fruits. Oh, there's definitely chocolate, dark chocolate, and some apple. Maybe apple pies and a bit sweet apple, but these fruity apple and chocolate and the sweetness. Maybe you can say it's beeswax. This one is really good, and you can taste the oak. I mean, it spent 100 years in an oak cask. And you really get the flavor of this oak, which is very deep, very complex, and also in the finish complexity and spiciness. You get some spices like maybe cinnamon, maybe nutmeg. So this is really interesting. So how can you rate this spirit? Definitely above 90, definitely. Just taking the last drop. I'm tempted to drink the rest, but I won't. I will keep it for another moment. I would go for 93, actually. Maybe I will change my mind when I drink the rest. It's not in the absolute high class, and I want to keep some space because I didn't have the chance to drink so many very old cognacs. It's not the absolute high class, but it's already very good. Maybe I will change to 94 at another point when I drink the rest. I want to take some time for the final decision, but for the moment I would go for 93. So this is a really good one, and it's better than the Armagnacs and cognacs I tried yet, definitely. So I'm happy to have this opportunity and to share it with you. Most of you will probably never get a chance to buy this bottle because it's there are only 29 bottles filled. Maybe from Tiffon. There are other vintages, of course. I think I will try to buy it if I still get it. And I will definitely keep an eye on Tiffon because it seems like they do very good cognac. I didn't know them before, to be honest. There are a lot of cognac producers, a lot of Armagnac producers in France, which makes it so interesting, and they taste often really different. So there is a lot to experience, and this is really worth to collect and to drink, of course, from time to time. So I hope you like this video. I will do more in the future and share my experience to you, also experience as a collector, as an investor. I want to motivate people to also invest in spirits because it can be a very interesting opportunity, especially now in these days when there is a lot of complexity, and after whiskey prices have skyrocketed, and you can't say that for cognac and Armagnac. I think now it's a very good time maybe to look into these because they are, at least, as I said, the same quality, the same complexity. I would say even more rare, even more complex. They're made from grapes, very special grapes. I'm also interested in rum because there are also nicer and nicer rums on the market, and I will maybe do another video where I'm tasting the rum. And of course I'm also focused on port wine, Madeira wine, but also sherry wine. I also like Calvados from France, but I don't want to go too deep now. I will do it in another YouTube video. For the moment, I want to thank everybody for looking at this video. Stay tuned and see you soon. Bye bye.